Hello everyone, welcome to Rip Rod Science. In today's episode, we'll be digging deep into what the technique of electrofishing is and the several ramifications that may follow. Let's get straight into it. First, let's actually figure out what electrofishing is. As the name actually implies, electrofishing is the process of using electricity to catch fish. Now, this practice isn't typically associated with recreational use. Many scientists and fish biologists use electrofishing to study different fish populations in freshwater bodies, such as rivers, lakes, and streams. However, there are a few outliers, as with Asian carp, many commercial fisheries use this method as a way of mass collecting this species.
The method has seen success in China, and U.S. scientists believe it's one of the most promising solutions.
We took the basic block net idea and together with between the sound and the electrofishing gear, we were able to push fish really easily. In about a day and a half, we caught almost 240,000 pounds of fish. Once they hit the bank, they're not my problem anymore. And so they're handed over to commercial fishers that take care of them.
So far, it's been pretty successful at clearing large amounts of fish fast.
We can go in and catch 80%, 85% possibly of the fish that are in there. You'll end up catching 98.8% of the fish in 4 passes.
Many fisheries conduct this procedure to collect data from a certain fish population, such as the species composition, density, age, and if certain invasive species are within the location. But despite all the good that comes out of this technique, it is still controversial when it comes to the state and well-being of the fish. Electrofishing uses something called the pulse shock method, which gives off short frequencies of electricity in the water. To better inform you on how the process works, let's take a look at this animation. As you can see, the fish are next to a heavy net, which is surrounded by an electric field. The net is dragged across the floor of the sea, and as it moves closer to the fish, it sends out electrodes, which suddenly puts them in a temporary state of paralysis. They then get secured in the trap and float back up to the boat for inspection. In more technical terms, the several different electrodes spread throughout the water to stimulate the fish's internal muscles, and they later go through galvanotaxis. According to Wikipedia, it is the direct motion of biological cells in a particular direction in response to an electric current or field. Okay, that photo is really confusing, so let's put an easier one that I can explain. Okay, that's better. Essentially, the fish are changing where they are going and are attracted to the electricity powered by batteries, and when they come in close contact, they are shocked and float to the surface of the water to later be collected. Many would assume that the direct contact with electricity will hurt them, but they never come in close contact with the booms, as the radius is typically spread out by 6 feet. The fish are measured and recorded quickly and within seconds are released back into the water. But still, several biologists and environmentalists are calling to question. What are the harms? It's a common misconception, and it truly depends on where you're actually doing it. It is definitely plausible that with the not proper implementations of the method, that the fish can get caught and severely hurt. But typically in freshwater, it's pretty safe, whereas it takes another turn in various areas in the ocean. While on one side, it may show you how to manage your pond, on the other, it can eradicate a whole species of fish at any given time.
The European Union banned it in 1998, along with other destructive fishing methods, but it's still happening. In 2006, the European Union granted 80 permits, allowing members to use electric fishing to fulfill their fishing quota in the North Sea in the name of research.
Bob Luss from Bass Resource exclaimed back in 2013 how when it comes to safety, all electrofishing boats are equipped with double safety features, continuing with how emergency foot brakes and valves for lowering voltage amounts are always present on board. But in many of the world's different bodies of water, there come some risks. According to the United States Geographical Survey, many of these pristine sampling techniques in North America have had a very dynamic and complex mix of physiology that remains unknown and, frankly, poorly understood. Fishery researchers in the Colorado River Basin are concerned about the harmful effects of electrofishing on fish, more specifically endangered species. Spinal injuries and associated hemorrhages may not be often, but several have been documented in over 50% of fish examined internally.
Research by the Institute for Marine Resources and Ecosystem Studies says this type of current causes violent, uncontrolled convulsions that leaves 50 to 70% of large cods with a fractured spine and internal bleeding after being electrocuted.
Such injuries are believed to be the result from powerful convulsions of body musculature, possibly epileptic seizures, caused mostly by sudden changes in voltage as when electricity is pulsed or switched on and off. In the ocean, salmon are susceptible. Atlantic and pick salmon receive such harmful effects, such as bleeding at gills or vent and excessive physiological stress, which are now concerning many managers. Mortality caused by asphyxiation is a common result of excessive exposure to tetanizing intensities near electrodes. Reported effects may be contradictory, but electrofishing over spawning grounds has the ability to harm millions of embryos. Before summing it all up, let's analyze everyone's opinions. Many are calling to question the ethics of this unsafe environmental practice, deeming and ridiculing it as a particularly unjust field of science. But regardless and needless to say, I think that electrofishing can be used, and it is indeed justifiable. In many respects, there are safety concerns, but an overwhelming number of boats have taken measures to mitigate the harmful effects that may occur on the fish to the least amount of times possible. They have nets, thermal scanners, and different shoreline equipment that will stop the fish from getting hurt. But we also have to validate and explore new hypotheses that are coming in and are advancing the epileptic nature of the fish in response to the electric fields. Regardless of your stance on the issue, we can all agree that electrofishing is probably the most benign and effective method for catching fish to study. But when unpromptuous effects become problematic and aren't able to be contained, then its use must be heavily restricted. Well, this is Ripper Rod Science signing off. Peace.